third week of my new job, I was presenting to a room full of people I had never met. This was about a project that could cost Atlas professionals hundreds of thousands of dollars, but make them the first oil and gas recruitment company to become carbon neutral in Australia. Oh, did I mention that everyone in this room could control my professional future? And that if I wanted this done, it had to be done in 6 months. People often say if you follow your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. And that might be true, but what if working your passion doesn't work out? I'd love to run an animal rescue farm as much as the next guy, but at the end of the day, we all need money to live. So what then? Would I be willing to compromise my values to go to a job that I don't really like, but it pays the bills so it's good enough? Could I even do that for the next 50 plus years? So there I was, on the third week of my new job, given an opportunity. The opportunity to use my values, passions, and experience to actually make a change in the world and get paid for it. For those of you who don't know, carbon neutrality is the process whereby a company or groups of people work out how much carbon that they emit. Then taking that number, they try to reduce it to the point of net zero. This is done through a series of 3 steps. The first being calculating your footprint, the second being reducing that as much as feasibly possible through your own company. And finally, you take the remainder that you have and invest in carbon offsets. These carbon offsets are programs and projects that people put forward to offer solutions to carbon. On the first week of my job, Perth, Australia was in lockdown. Woo, loved that. So it meant that on the second week, I thought I would be meeting people, doing office inductions, just getting a general lay of the land. On a Wednesday afternoon, my boss came up to me and said, within the fortnight, I want you to present to the CEO and senior management team about the feasibility of becoming carbon neutral. Honestly, I thought this was busy work. I thought it was just something to give the new employee to do until they actually had time for me. I assumed that it would be a project that the business would look at once, decide it was too hard, or simply just not worth it. And I assumed, based on my age and the fact that no one really knew who I was, that they wouldn't really take my suggestions seriously. Though with all of these assumptions looming, I also knew that if I did want them to take this project and myself seriously, I had to put the hard work in and actually prove it to them. Obviously, they did take me seriously, otherwise I wouldn't be standing up here. To their credit, they didn't treat me like I was just some naive little girl, but instead they heard me out. Unquestionably, they've put me in charge of it. So, with senior management on board, I then went to the employees. I took all the information that I had and presented to them, knowing very well that if I couldn't get them on board with this, implementing this change would be 10 times harder. Honestly, I was super happy by how supportive people were and how excited they were for this change. Most businesses have the ability to make these changes, and the employees in them that are willing to go with this change and support it. But they often need the change to be more convenient for them and someone who's actually willing to lead it. Even though I experienced a lot of support, I also experienced my fair share of pushback, as you're always going to do. For about a month, I went back and forth with people who asked, is this worth it? Are we actually going to make a difference? One of the stumping questions that I received from one of our employees was, what is the tangible effect in degrees Celsius that this will change the world every year? How the hell am I meant to answer that? Honestly, it's in a whole different area to what I studied, and it's way above my pay grade. But that's okay. At the end of the day, you can't give all the answers. What's most important is that you go back and are willing to educate yourself to put those ideas forward. At the end of the day, there's only so much that we can do. We can't change the world by one quick decision. It's going to take a long time to do that. And employees, especially in businesses, are just happy when people are actually willing to hear them out, give them a voice, and understand what the issues are to them. I couldn't answer that question from that employee, and I still can't. No matter how much I research, I just can't give that answer. But that's okay, because I'm making an effort. And honestly, I am very happy that I can stand here in front of you all on this red dot and actually say that my program and everything that I'm doing in this project is going to make a difference in this world. And I'm actually going to see those tangible numbers that we all talk about. At Atlas Professionals, we specialise in putting highly skilled employees on boats and ships. So our biggest carbon footprint area is our flights. This covers around 475 tonnes of CO2 just in the year 2020, which, keep in mind, was a COVID year. So for us, that's actually a small number compared to what we are used to. Even though we understand that this is our biggest footprint and this is the area that we need to change, at the moment it's the only feasible way to get our employees to and from work. Though there's new technology coming forward as we see every day, at the moment we can't make much of a change. So instead we've been focusing on seemingly small areas where we can make a big difference, such as catering. Now, catering might seem quite straightforward to most of you, and it is. So let me give you an example of how we could make an actual difference in this area. Say we take a rig full of people. Let's go a small one, about 120 people on that rig, and we gave them 180 grams of beef, so a steak, for dinner. They would have emitted 1,300 kilograms of CO2 just in that one meal. Now, if we change that, we take the same amount of people, 120 people, and we give them 180 grams of chicken instead. They would have only consumed 151 kilograms of CO2. That's a reduction in almost 88% just from swapping out that one meal. So if we take that to the next level, if we take a business that provides beef to their employees 6 out of 7 days per week, but then they reduce that down to 4 out of 7 days per week, they could reduce their annual emissions of CO2 by 75 tonnes per year per rig. That is huge, and that's on a small rig. Though Atlas does have the ability to make these changes, you also do need to understand that providing beef is someone's livelihood. At the end of the day, this is someone's job. But if you want to make these changes in your business, you have to be the one that makes these choices. You need to take that into consideration, as well as local food produce availabilities, the assessment of food chains, the effect of that new produce on the environment, the employee nutritional needs, and many, many more. Basically, it's a lot of work, and it affects real people. But if you want to make this change, then you need to be willing to make these tough decisions. At Atlas, we knew we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to make choices that actually mattered. For many companies, when they go down the path of carbon neutrality, they invest in offsets just to get the problem out of their way. Now, I'm not saying offsets are a bad thing, they're definitely not, but when done with the wrong intentions, they can be a form of greenwashing for companies. At Atlas, we knew we didn't just want to plant trees. We wanted to go that next level. We wanted to listen to our employees and see what they were interested in, what they thought was important. Because at the end of the day, people like yourselves in this room, you are the ones that actually matter and can make the difference to your business. So the programs that we decided to invest in are Aboriginal environmental health, global renewable energy sources, New Zealand reforestation, and many, many more. Basically, we knew that this project for us was a way for us to help our stance in our climate impact. But we also wanted to use it as an opportunity, the opportunity to make a difference in the world and all the communities that we touch. If you're going to make a change in your business, you can't just focus on one thing. You need to focus, and if it goes across, go to all things. You want to be able to look back in 2 years and say, yes, that one decision we made that one time has trickled down and affected all areas of our business. Honestly, when I was given this project, I just thought I'd be writing some corporate environmental piece. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Though this may not seem like a big project to many people, for me it's huge. I'm fresh out of my grad cert. I've only been in the company for 4 months now, and I'm actually the only person from my company that can come to this under 30s event, which is pretty cool. So, if you needed proof that you don't actually have to be the boss of your business to make change, here I am. At the end of the day, you just need the passion, the drive, and the ability to make actions and actually follow through with them. Thank you.